Wow, if you're looking to buy the new ProShare Bitcoin Futures ETF BITO, I don't know if that's BITO or BITO, you're going to want to watch this video all the way to the end because it's time for On the Radar. I'm Dennis, the active trend trader. If this is the first time you've joined us on this YouTube channel, please like us, give us a comment, and subscribe. Hit the bell so you'll be notified when we load new video and new tutorials. So here we go. Let's get into today's session. And we're going to start with basically a really quick overview of what's happening with the indexes. We are getting a excellent rally going on. As you can see here from the chart of the, let me get my pins going on here. There we go. As you can see from what's happening, basically we're going to rally back into what? Past resistance formed by the last high. Today, on all the indexes, we have kind of a mixed bag. In other words, the market is mixed. S&P's up, the NASDAQ's down, Russell is up slightly. What does that tell us? It tells us that basically what's going on inside the markets is basically a lot of just tension, pulling back and forth, back and forth, back and forth. And we want to be aware of that because basically the markets aren't totally in sync with each other. And as we go over and take a look at the NASDAQ, you'll see that. But it's just not totally in sync with each other. And so what we want to do is basically what are we projection? What's our upside projection for the S&P? And one of the things that I like to grab in order to do the projection to the upside is I like to see if we've had symmetry of move. And so if I go here from this low up to this high, back to this low, this is when the new rally started, and there's the bell. Let's see, we're sitting, yeah, okay, still leaving ourselves mixed for the day. So anyway, what this does is it gives us a projection up to the upside from this low into one. It met 100% and slowed down of that would be symmetry with this move from this low to this high. Then we went on from there. Let me draw this out. Let me get my finger out here. Then we went on, broke through that, slowed down as we approached the 1272, and now we've broken through that. We would think that that would give us a projection up to the 1618 extension. However, to get through that, we've got to get through this level of resistance there at, let's see, what's that number there? The high is 454.05. So we need to break through that if we're going to basically push on higher. If you don't know how to use these Fibonacci's, I encourage you on the YouTube channel, Market Tech Talk, my YouTube channel, I have 2 tutorials on there on Fibonacci's. They're both very good. One covers the price action Fibonacci's. The other one covers the time Fibonacci's. If you're not familiar with the time Fibonacci, they also give you, we find that price action oftentimes will have symmetry both in time and in price. And so just learning about that oftentimes gets us into the ballpark, of what's taking place with the move. So as we can see here, we are continuing to press upward. What's the plan? Well, I'm not going to do a darn thing until I get either back up here and into the resistance zone that's identified here, or I get a reversal candlestick. Right now I have no reversal candlestick, but we've had 1, 2, 3, and a little bit today, 4 gap ups to the upside. And that has been happening on, as we see down here, on what? Decreasing volume. See that decreasing volume right there? And so if you, in a way, we had to look at it, we're basically losing some momentum as we push higher. And what's it telling us about what's going on in the underlying? We'll have to wait and see. As you can see, my momentum indicators are all heading up in the upper direction. And I'm looking at TSI just to back up in the upper reversal zone. And that green, my green intermediate momentum on the market forecast is always also pointing up. Had a really nice move up here and here. If you're wondering about how to trade these things, you need to jump over and become an active trend trader member, either or the autopilot trading system, because I utilize those tools all the time, and I'm glad to share how we use those tools so you can apply it to not just the stocks that we pick, the 5 best stocks that we pick per week, and the ETFs that go with them. Get this back here. There we go. And so again, there'll be a link down in the description on the YouTube channel that'll show you exactly how to find those particular opportunities. So that's what we got going on with the SPYs. Well, what's next? The NASDAQ. As you can see, we continue to push up. However, we're into a zone where if you look to the left, what do you see? If you look to the left, what do you see? A zone where sellers came in previously. Now, earlier in the day, today's candlestick was actually showing a bearish engulfing. However, now that we've finished the day, it is not a bearish engulfing. As a matter of fact, it's not even a bearish candlestick. Momentum is still headed up on the Q and the NASDAQ. Momentum on the market forecast is still heading up. We jump over here to the weekly chart, still looking positive. As a matter of fact, it looks as if we continue to either hold what we've got right now or push a little bit higher, I would look for the TSI on a weekly chart to basically be bouncing to the upside, which is exactly what we expected to do. TSI, the market forecast, if you will, longer term, is coming down to the upper reversal zone line of demarcation, which is plus 80, and oftentimes that winds up to be a level of support, and momentum will stay high and continue to bounce around if the trend is to the upside and strong. What would I be looking at on what will interest me on the NASDAQ? Well, we've got a level of resistance here at about the 278.55 level, and then we've got another one up here at this level here, which is, there we go. We'll get a number on that for you. About the 282.75. 282, pretty darn close for the eyeballing it. 382.78. We get into that area, look for it to slow down, look for any stalling, and for a push down to the downside. What do I want? What do I need to know at this particular point? Could I be approaching a level of stalling right now? Well, the answer to that is potentially. As you can see, yep, I drew a Fibonacci on from this high here to this low here. Where is it running into the 78% extension or retracement? And that may wind up to be where we stall out. We don't know. And with the stall out, what am I expecting? That's always you need to define that. And one of the things I would be expecting would be a pullback into the moving averages. That would give, now that everything is in gear to the upside, I want to plan my trade to jump into a trade approaching the moving averages. It may also be approaching this Fibonacci magic fib box. And that fib box is, I think, drawing from here to here. You can see that associates with that fib box. Another thing I want to know is I want to compare it to, is there another fib that I'm possibly running into? Because when the fibs kind of stack on top of each other, and sure enough we are, when they kind of stack on top of each other, that gives us another a level just to be paying extra attention to, if you will. As we see, we had a symmetric move from, let me show you where this is drawn from this low to that high, pull back to this low, and when we hit that dark blue line, that is 100% symmetry with the initial move up. It has pushed above this, and so our target on anything, when we're going to do a test of symmetry, is anywhere from, let me show you where our target is, the 78%, the 100%, or in this case, the 1272%. That's where we're moving up. TSI has not crossed to the downside. Short-term momentum has. However, longer-term momentum on the market forecast is pointing in the upside direction. And whenever that is the case, when we've broken out of the lower reversal zone and that starts pointing up, we want to, and we are above the moving averages, the best course of action is plan trades to the upside. Plan trades to the upside. So that's what we've got going on there. Let's take a look at IWM. What's going on with the Russell? As you can see, the NASDAQ was down just a little bit for the day. We go to IWM. IWM is, as I've said earlier, previously, we're working inside a horizontal price range. We know, what are some of the things we know? We know that IWM tends to go up stronger than the other indexes at the end of the year. So that's what we know that. Two, typically we know that tends to happen somewhere between in October to December. And it can last until, number three, it can last until, well, I'll put the 3 down here so I can see it, until sometimes either into between the end of February and April. That's how long the uptrend can move. And again, from a perspective of seasonality, the Russell tends to outperform the other two tracking indexes. I'm talking about the S&P and the NASDAQ during that time frame. Now, will it do that again this year? Of course, we don't know. We just have to be ready for it. Right now, it is basically approaching this level of resistance, and it may not even get there. But as of right now, we do not have a, well, actually we do. That is a bearish reversal signal. That is a dark cloud cover on IWM that happened on, let's see, that would have been Friday of last week. However, price action is moving back up. So let's go on. And how will I trade the Russell? Well, I will look for Russells either to pull back into these moving averages that you see here and here, or back into this level here, which is the moving averages. It is in gear to head to the upside, but right now I have, other than that bearish engulfing or bearish dark cloud, we take out the high of that day, that voids that dark cloud and puts us in gear to run higher. Where am I looking at higher? Somewhere there's a zone. There's a zone of resistance up here where sellers came in the past. So the sellers are still sitting there, biding their time for price action to get up there. And once those sellers are exhausted, once they basically are done, I would anticipate a move higher. I would anticipate a move higher in the on the Russell. There's a lot of noise going on out there also, guys. The news is just so full of crap about what it's, excuse my you know, condescending attitude towards the news media, but just, you know, they're a disgusting lot. And so that's why I love trading stocks, because one, all I do is trade the chart in front of me, and the chart in front of me is telling me at this particular point in time, on the Russell at least, is just hang on, be patient, and also on the other two indexes. So, with no further ado, let's go ahead and jump over into the entities I wanted to take a look at. I'm going to start with the new, it just came out yesterday. It's fresh off the presses. BITO. It has been active for 2 days. What's the trend? And with any IPO, normally, you're not going to want to trade it until you start seeing some patterns emerge. Fortunately, since this BITO is the Bitcoin futures ETF that was put out there by ProShares, we can expect or anticipate the price action and or the charts to be very similar to Bitcoin and or the Grayscale Bitcoin ETF also. So we don't have to, so in other words, based on that, should we be buying BITO right here? Should we be buying it right now? My answer to that is no, do not buy this entity right now. And the reason why is because, one, it is not so much because of the chart on this chart, but partly is the chart of the, let me find it, of this chart. What is this chart, you may ask? And I will tell you, this is the Bitcoin chain, okay, Bitcoin chart, USD, that's represented on bar chart. As you can see, it's up sign, and then BTC USD, and it's going back about a year's worth. And so we started about 15,000, and it's climbed back up to 66,000 value. So how do we want to basically look to trade this? Well, if I will pay attention to this, and because we have a line in the sand there, we had a breakout. That's one breakout. So anticipate some kind of a pullback into that breakout area. Here's another breakout area here, about the $60,000 amount. And there's one here. And so I can wait until we do get a pullback. I can also grab and throw a Fibonacci on this from here to here, although I don't know if that's the high yet, where we're going to pull back from. So since Thinkorswim does not have Bitcoin on their radar, I cannot call, at least I don't think I can. If any of you know the ticker for Bitcoin on Thinkorswim, please let me know what it is so I can just type it in down in the comment section. So I want to be looking here. However, since BITO is going to emulate to some extent, to pretty closely, what Bitcoin is doing, do I want to be buying Bitcoin where it's at right now? The answer to that question is no. It's extended. This is the 20-day moving average. It's well extended from the 20-day moving average. Where is the most opportune time to buy Bitcoin? Is when it's bouncing away from the 20-day moving average. We had a couple of places, one here, and we get a little bit of a pullback, and then we move back up. But we're looking for some kind of a pullback. You may want to throw an 8-day moving average on there also to give you additional clarification. The other item that we can do is, let me get rid of that, and get to here. The other thing you can do is just take a look at GBTC. GBTC. And what you'll see in that, and I'm going to go ahead and expand this out so I can take a look at a year's worth of data, approximately a year's worth of data, maximize the cell there. And let's take a look at about a year's worth of data. So that would be going back to about there. And so let's go here to November, which is about there. So that's about a year's worth of data. As we take a look at Grayscale Bitcoin Trust, BTC, this is an entity, one, that is, it acts like it is an ETF, but as you can see, it looks very similar to the Bitcoin. Again, a year's worth of data on Bitcoin here. Does it look very similar? And the answer to that is yes, it does. Now, since that is the case, and especially in the short term, you're getting the nice moves up, like you, and the shape of the chart is very much like, get these down here, very much like what we saw with the Bitcoin chart. And you can see here's that larger pullback then into the latter part of July. Here's the other one, the low that we hit on September 29th. That corresponds to, there's the low on September 29th, and there's the one back in July. Broke out of that, went higher. So does it match it absolutely 100% perfectly? The answer to that is no, it doesn't. At the same time, though, what can we garner from the entity? Well, one is that as you see, we're breaking out to a new high here. However, it was not a new high compared to the highs back in the April and February time frame. So there is some contango backwardation going on with whatever they're utilizing, whatever Grayscale is utilizing to emulate the Bitcoin Trust and emulate Bitcoin. There is some backwardation and or contango that is keeping the value of this from, exactly matching the chart of the actual Bitcoin chart. So, but with that said, we can still, on the shorter time frame, look to trade this off of a couple of different things. One, pullbacks into the moving averages, pullbacks into breakout areas. And so, like on this one, Bitcoin, we can look at and say, hey, if I pull the GBTC, if I pull back into the 20-day moving average, which is the 42.41 level, I may want to be a buyer. That then translates to whatever price, and so if we go to the low of yesterday here on GBTC, which the low of yesterday was 46.05, and tie that into the low on BITO. What was the low on BITO yesterday? Well, the low on BITO yesterday was $40.07. Again, these 2 days on BITO correspond or correlate to the last 2 days on BTC. And so with that said, now I can anticipate some kind of a move back, especially if I top out here, some type of a move back into the moving averages. I can also throw on let's blow this up just a little bit so we can see it easier. I can also do a couple of things. I can throw a Fibonacci on it from this low to that high, or I can do it in reverse. Let's go from the high to the low. Oh, darn it, does. We'll get that to set up. There we go. So again, isn't that interesting? The 50% retracement takes me right back to 42.53. So, which is right at the 20-day moving average. So what I would like to do is I would like to go ahead and just lay in an alert right there at the halfway in between the, this is the 618 or the 38% retracement. I would like to lay in a alert right there, $44.98 or $45. So let's go ahead and lay in an alert right there. And I'm going to put it at $45. And so if I'm at or below $45, that will trigger an alert for me. What I want it to do, I just want to get my attention. So I'm just going to put in a bugle sound. You like this bugle sound? Yeah, right on. Charge, baby. Oh, stop it. Okay, and so that's if it does it again, I'm going to slap it. Anyway, if we pull back into this level here, again, that was the $45 level, that's when I want to alert. Up until then, I have no interest in it. Because why? Because right now, price actions on GBTC are at retail values. I want to buy it at wholesale. Wholesale is when it pulls back into the moving averages and bounces from there. So look for a nice little flag. And they happen all the time, but we just have to be ready for them. The other thing is my momentum. My momentum is all the way up at the top of the scale. And so do I buy it when the momentum is that high? No, I don't. And again, do I have a reversal signal? No, I don't. And so we just basically work from there, apply what we see on this chart to, and I can also, you can work out our ratio. If I'm expecting that to fall down to 45, well, where would I expect the BITO to fall? I'll let you work out the math on that one yourself, the ratio, because there should be a pretty nice ratio. And so I hope this helps you. The other thing that makes BITO very interesting to me is it does have, well, here, that's basically, that concludes what I'm going to be talking to you about today. And I'll just look at you face to face. The other thing that makes BITO very, very interesting to trade is it comes with weekly options. Now, they have not filled in the weekly option open interest yet. I don't know if they've been totally released to be able to trade it, but right now there was no open interest on it when I looked at it earlier today. However, it looks as if the intention is to have weekly options, which opens up, again, another opportunity for trading and, again, offering some exposure to Bitcoin. For the people with smaller accounts, I double checked, and ran a couple of test trades on BITO today, and literally you can buy down to 1 share, and it appears as if there was no hesitation on Thinkorswim, TD Ameritrade, to stop you from doing that. And so I've got a couple of trades out there sitting, waiting for a pullback. But right now, I'm going to run off. I'm going to do the ratio between GBTC and BITO, and then we'll work at it from there to say, hey, where's this estimate going to go? So, hey, I hope that you found that very interesting. If you did, give us a thumbs up. Again, if you have any questions, comments, or anything, leave those in the comments section. And come over and visit us at the Active Trend Trader website. And remember, sign up for How to Make Money Trading Stocks and Options. That's a video or a Zoom meeting we do every Friday, 11 a.m. Pacific time, where me and 2 other elite stock traders basically identify 3 stocks that we think are going to move really well going into next week. My pick for last week, this was picked on Friday of last week, was ATKR. Check out that ticker to see how my pick did from last week. So until next week, aloha. God bless everybody.